I guarantee that if you're struggling in dating, there's part of you that hasn't stepped in to claim your full sexual power, and that is likely to block people from coming in and loving you fully and wholly in romantic ways. Meeting all these terrible people online, which is what many people experience. You don't have to experience that in dating. It's not required. You can become someone who is energetically, electrically on fire, lit up around dating, love, and connection, and who gets what they want in love every time. We're looking at the triggers of feminine and seduction and why it's so important to work through those. We're going to approach this at a very mental level, so I'm going to read to you from my book, Is Feminine Seduction a Trigger? Does the term feminine seduction make you feel uncomfortable? Congratulations! You've just found an essential area of exploration. The words feminine and seduction have a charge for most people for a variety of reasons. Initially, both of them triggered me. Now, the trigger in the words feminine and seduction is precisely why I like them. They hold power, history, and deep, often unconscious meaning for people. Working with these words and their triggers invites you to perform from first contact. So essentially the idea of just listening to the word and being with the word, feeling the word when it gives you kind of this uncomfortable feeling will help you move things in your unconscious and help you move things in your life because you are actually working with it. You're actually looking at it. You're shining a light on things that make you uncomfortable or unhappy or wish you didn't have to think about them. And that is going to transform how you feel about them, which is going to transform how you behave about them, and that changes your life. So let's do more of that. The word feminine can help you recognize and heal parts of yourself that you have abandoned, suppressed, or verbally abused. The word seduction can help you rewrite your relationship to sexual power. As you read this book, I encourage you to explore your relationship to both these words. Now let's talk a little bit about the trigger of feminine specifically. Much of my personal charge around the word feminine came from my fear of being boxed in as a woman. I had deeply internalized that to be feminine meant to be a certain kind of woman. I believed that feminine meant wears pink, likes dresses, gets pedicures, is soft, quiet, and graceful. And to be sure, I genuinely love pedicures and luxurious clothing, and I prefer to be graceful rather than clumsy. I wanted to be and do this version of feminine, but I also wanted to be more than that. And in fact, I am more than that. Often I am loud, I hustle, I am exuberant in action and words. I enjoy heated intellectual debates. Sometimes I am very direct instead of soft and polite. I exaggerate too much, a man I liked once pointed out to me as a flaw that made me undesirable. Possessing these traits deemed culturally unfeminine made me feel that feminine was a test I was doomed to fail. I chose to disassociate from the word rather than examine my inherited judgments against its meaning. I was triggered because I was associating feminine with an identity rather than energy. I believed feminine was another box I either fit into or didn't, rather than an energetic state I could visit or shed at will. If you feel triggered by the word feminine, quickly check in with yourself if you associate feminine with an identity or personality trait. Feminine in this book refers to the energetic feminine based on ancient spiritual traditions and archetypes. It refers to an energy rather than a personality, identity, gender, or sex. Embodying feminine energy is not about becoming more of a woman. You do not need to be female to work with feminine energy. You experience your feminine energy when you focus on your internal state, which is an energy any self-aware person can focus on. In our discussion, feminine will be an energy, not an identity. So I talk in this book about direct ways you can uncover your feminine energy. And it's really important to begin with the understanding that feminine doesn't actually refer to a person or an identity. We have a lot of cultural conditioning around what it means to be feminine, what it means to be a woman, what it means to be female. All of that stuff is in the space. And so I want to acknowledge that that's in the space. However, what we're talking about when we're talking about feminine is a much deeper, existential, energetic teaching rather than something that's like, if you didn't wear pink, you can't be feminine. If you're not wearing a dress, you don't look so feminine. This is much, much deeper than that, and it's all about the power of your sexual energy, which everyone needs. The trigger of seduction. I find that the term seduction is objectionable to those who feel discomfort around their own sexual power. I certainly used to feel this way, and many clients and students have come up against this discomfort with the word seduction. It is common for women and feminine energy folks to feel disempowered around their sexual expression. My early female learning and experience taught me that it was better and safer to suppress, downplay, or act without my sexual nature. Overtly sexual women were considered desperate, slutty, or suffering from daddy issues. Being a sexual woman could get you demonized and ostracized from respectable groups. I learned that being a sexual woman was about performing for men rather than expressing something powerful about the female nature. I did not want to be this kind of woman. I created an entire persona around the suppression of my sexual nature. The avoidance of my sexual power manifested as giving little to no hints that I was an innately sexual being, from how I carried myself to my expressions, action, and dress. I clothed myself with others in mind, careful to hide my sexuality or play it up appropriately for the situation rather than wear what would make me feel great. I made decisions from the outside in, always careful to first consider how others would view me rather than what gave me pleasure. I was unaware of how living this way created negative self-consciousness. I spent a lot of energy overthinking and doubting my actions and words, often choosing not to express them. In dating, I showed up with little to no emotion. I waited for permission to love and be loved. I led with my intellect in all social situations, including romance, believing and simultaneously seeking to prove to others that my brain was the most valuable part of me, rather than my innate or sexual nature. This is a very common thing women do, is show up with a need to prove. There's a lot I could say about that as well in terms of our conditioning and being led to believe that the performative side of being a woman is the more important side, rather than getting in touch with your internal state and your personal pleasure and really acting from a place of personal fulfillment rather than waiting to read the room and find out what other people would find appropriate from you, respectable from you, and loving from you in the case of dating. Here's how that went for me. This is just me being me, I told myself. I'm just not a very sexual person. But in reality, I had bottled up my sexual nature because I felt it was more acceptable to others if I hid it away. And then, deep down, more than anything, I wanted someone incredible and irresistible to fall in love with me totally and completely. I wanted to be desired. I wanted to seduce and be seduced, but I was unwilling to admit it. Sometimes people object to the word seduction because they associate it with manipulation. You cannot manipulate with feminine energy because, by definition, it is focused inward on yourself. Becoming energetically seductive is about learning to change your energy, which in turn changes other people's energy. Not because you forced or manipulated their energy to change somehow, but because you showed up in your own energetic sovereignty. Once you have sovereignty over your own sexual energy, you will find you are less worried about whether you can get someone to like you, want you, call you back, or commit to you. Ironically, it is these worries that usually lead to manipulative behavior in dating. I believe I carried out much more underhanded, sneaky, and dishonest dating behavior before feminine seduction became part of my life. I didn't know what I wanted, or if I was worth what I wanted, or how to get what I wanted. So therefore, my dating energy was wishy-washy and misleading, and I tried a lot of dating tactics and told lots of white lies. Claiming my power to seduce on my terms is what changed that. Sometimes people unconsciously feel discomfort around the term seduction because of its close relationship to sexual desire. So this is for people who generally grew up with a lot of negativity around sex and sexuality. Sexual desire can feel like a dark and dangerous place with shame and confusion wrapped around it. It's really no wonder a word like seduction brings up strange body sensations and negative thoughts in many people. If you are feeling uncomfortable with the word right now, notice the discomfort and allow those feelings to hang out with you as you read. No need to force your emotions to change. In this book, seduction refers to the phase of a relationship when you attract someone romantically and sexually using the 3 ingredients: attraction, sexual tension, and emotional connection. You will learn how to use the 3 ingredients to become energetically seductive. Becoming energetically seductive is about reclaiming your own sexual power in dating, sex, and love, not about learning to control others. That is it in a nutshell. I guarantee that if you're struggling in dating, there's part of you that hasn't stepped in to claim your full sexual power, and you're not showing up to relationships in a fully embodied, open-hearted, and really loving way. If you want more support on this, the book guides you through my entire system, the entire process, really helping you undo those triggers and work through other levels of the feminine and the idea of seduction that lead to dating that is powerful, connected. If you're not a big reader and you just want to watch YouTube videos about this, you can also subscribe to my channel and otherwise read the book, and I'll see you in next week's video.